my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling.
What's happening, wrestling fans? It's Tony here from WrestlingTradingCards.com, and I am joined by Paul and Ann from The Price Guide, Ryan Schear, who the hell knows where he's from, but he's here. And we're here to do a quick National 2025 recap video here. We all went. How do we like it, guys?
I had a blast. I had more fun. I don't know. I always have a good time. I have a different perspective because I'm on the other side of the table too for a lot of it. But I had a great time. I was there all 5 days plus Tuesday. Crazy busy and had a good time. So.
Yeah, last year.
I'm surprised we got to see you as much as we did outside the table, because you're usually so busy working behind the table. We got a chance to have dinner, have lunch. I mean, walk a little bit. It was, they were pretty lenient with you this year.
Yeah, they, Chad's awesome, and I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna cut out for an hour and go get some pizza. He's like, yeah, go ahead, that's fine. Because there's three other people there, and we all do a really good job. If one of us wants to walk around, that the other three cover. And then, if there's a bathroom break, usually it's like a bathroom break. And on the way back, I'll stop and look at some stuff. But I try not to be gone more than like 30 minutes at a time, because it's just so busy. It's so busy. It's insane.
And Paul, you and I had a little bit different agendas this year. We go, primarily we always go just the camaraderie of hanging out with each other and seeing our friends, this one time a year. But, I actually had a different agenda for the store, obviously looking for product. You had a different agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your experience like?
Well, you just Ryan mentioned perspective. I'll talk about that in a second. Let me say at the outset, though, last year when we got together, we sat down and we did our national wrap up on Cleveland. And we had so little good to say that you guys ultimately decided to scrap it and never saw the light of day. So safe to say this wasn't that. For a show of this size and scope, you need that size convention center in Chicago where people can get around. So just from a logistical or functional point of view, the show is far, far better than it was last year, just being put on. But you mentioned, Ryan, perspective, and that's very, very true, because Tony had a definite plan in mind. And he said, you know what, I'm going to be buying boxes, maybe cases, because I want to pack out at the store. And that was what was in his head. Ryan obviously worked the entire thing, so he saw people come and going from both sides. And for me, I just kind of tagged along, like I was hoping I might find some of the national treasures that I needed to finish, but I didn't think I really didn't really have anything for trade night. So I was just kind of following Tony along. And even on the Friday, when he did well on the Thursday and then decided to go chase down more boxes to take to the store, I buggered off downtown. I went to a music store. I went to the Mr. Beef place. So my perspective of it was more of a holiday, more of a hangout kind of thing. I mean, it was a blast, obviously, but all the sort of meat of the conversation, I think, is going to come from you guys, because, again, Tony, you had a definite agenda of what you're trying to achieve at the show. And Ryan, I remember laughing when we were at the airport. We were saying our goodbyes and taking off, and you were still on the floor going, fuck, I wish I could get out of here with you guys. Because by then I could tell, that standing isn't easy, and it's all concrete floor. So, dude, to be there, like, I could do a couple hours and I got to go sit. So I don't know how you manage.
Well, Paul, it didn't help that the day I left, my wife called me 3 separate occasions on the same day with 3 different issues with the house. There was a leak outside. There was a leak in the car. There was, I forget what else was going on. There was some other stuff going on. And it was like the day I left, all of this shit just started rolling downhill. And I'm like, really? Like, it couldn't happen on the Monday where I could just handle it, No, it was, but I told Chad, I said next year, and I've already booked my hotel. So if you're watching this and you can book a hotel, even if you want to get a hotel closer to the convention center later on, book a room somewhere now. Book a room somewhere now for where you want to go, and then just cancel that if you get a closer reservation. Because I'm telling you, it's very, very difficult, even 9, 8, 7 months out, to get a reservation around the hotel. You can go 8 miles away, but then you're looking at a $30 Uber ride, So book a hotel now and then cancel if you get closer. But I told him, I said, I think the sweet spot for me, because, with the kids too, because I got two kids and they're involved in everything. And after I go to work all day, I come home and it's like, okay, I'm going to take this one here and you're going to pick her up. And then I'm going to pick her up and then I'm going to take her here. And it's just this dance that we have to do with getting these kids all around town. And then when I leave, it's all on my wife, and she's great and she doesn't complain about it. And it is what it is. She knows that I want to go for a couple days, but I think my sweet spot is come in on Wednesday and leave Saturday mid-afternoon. I think that's my sweet spot. The majority of the actual hand-to-hand transactions, in my opinion, are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's still a lot of business Saturday, and there's still a lot of business Sunday, but the absolute crush of people is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
Yeah, I noticed that.
for those days, and then half of the Saturday, that's good, So
Yeah, it's notice the traffic levels seem to lighten up when we were on Saturday for some reason. It got heavier as the day went on. We were only there for part of the day because we had to leave, for a flight mid-afternoon. But it seemed lighter than I expected it to be. But definitely Wednesday night was crammed. Thursday and Friday were just packed, wall to wall, people walking around the aisles like Scott Hall, man. It was crazy. Um, but Paul, you and I, when we got there, our agenda usually is always a panel.
Yeah, let's
So
talk
we had the
about
panel
that.
this year, and the panel was less than desirable for us, I think. Felt like we were like baby getting put back in the corner,
Yeah,
and
well,
it
let's
was just
backtrack about getting to the panel. Like what goes
yeah. So I mean,
behind the scenes.
I'm getting to that. I'm actually
Okay,
getting to that, but that just this preparation to get to the what we were there to do to talk about wrestling cards like that. It just seemed like it fell so flat this year. So like, explain to people how we went to the point of even getting a panel.
right. And the reason why first of all, we turned up there Wednesday. We met at the airport at whatever time, 5, and we got a panel in 2 hours, which was always a bit
Yeah.
of a push. It's nice to have the next day, but we start talking to these guys about a month out, right? Same guys every year, nice guys, really good guys. And it's we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you. And I don't even get confirmation that there's going to be a panel until like 2 weeks, and then they're like, okay, we got to get times. And first they wanted a Sunday, which obviously wasn't going to work. But then they told me that Thursday and Friday were out for breakers. So our only option was Wednesday. And at that point, you and I discussed it and said, well, are we going to do it? We had someone else that was going to join us on the panel, quite a high profile guest, but we knew that Wednesday at dinner time was going to be something likely that he wouldn't be able to do. Had it been on a Thursday afternoon, he would have been there for us. And, that was the plan. So we said, what, we'll do it anyways, and we'll just riff, just like we're doing a 3 count show. We'll make it a little shorter. We'll hopefully get some audience participation. But we get there, and 2 years ago in Chicago, you walk through the main door, and boom, there's the main stage, and it's big, and it's lit, and it's all yellow, and there's tons of people milling around. Wasn't that this year? We had to go looking for it. Where is this thing? We're walking around, walking around. We get to the back to the sort of whatnot area. That's not it. And we see the Mike Burkus banner, and it's just this little tucked away area with maybe what, a dozen seats, maybe something like that, maybe a bit.
Yeah, maybe like 30 seats or so,
Yeah,
like that. But
so
it was dark. It was dark in the
yeah,
corner. It's behind the vendor area. It was like just tucked away, like, yeah, we'll have it, put it back here. And it just seemed like every year the stage gets smaller and smaller.
smaller and smaller, and this year was hard to find. And suffice it to say, we were less than enthused when we got there, but we were there, and we were there to do it, and here we are to now.
Oh, yeah, I think we still did a good job with it. We still had,
Are we appending that
thank you
video to
for,
the end of this? I haven't even seen the video yet.
I do have it. Yeah, he sent it to me yesterday.
Yeah,
So
so
I
is that
do
going to
have
be
it.
part of this? Or are you going to do a separate video for that?
Oh, yeah.
You'll
Actually,
figure
we'll
it
be a
out.
part of this. We'll put it
Okay,
out there
I'll
right
just
after
put it
this
at the end.
episode. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the thrill for me is just hanging out on stage and being in Chicago and seeing you guys and all that stuff. But yeah, the panel, if it's going to be on a Wednesday again, and we find out that they're not putting the energy that they have in the past, we might very well skip it. It's the same like the trade night. We realized right away if we don't have Adam Gelman leading the charge and organizing something specific for our community, it just falls by the wayside. I mean,
Yeah.
loose efforts were made to sort of galvanize the wrestling group on the trade nights, but it just didn't happen.
It's so funny you say that. It wasn't even on my list of quick topics here because we want to make this not too long. But trade night was a disappointment in the sense of what we were used to from the last two
Yeah.
years.
So
And
the
Adam has a lot
wrestling,
to do with that because of his
I see.
organization of that kind of stuff and the connections that he has with those companies. I know people did try to do something. There was a dedicated table, supposedly, a banner in the main trade room floor that, only saw like 4 or 5 people that were
One
there
table.
consistently.
One table.
Yeah,
And here's
one
the
table.
thing, there were other wrestling people there, right? Just
Yeah.
not at that. You know, there are other, you know, there's a guy from up here that was down there that texted me and said, "So what do you think of the national?" I'm like, "I was there. Why didn't you check in with me then?" You know,
Yeah.
so
It's and that's it's weird that the panel I mean the trade night was one thing, and the lack of representation of wrestling cards at trade night,
yeah,
but the opposite end is the actual floor itself and the number of booths and vendors who actually brought wrestling with them this year,
which is
and
fine.
there was a lot of it,
Yeah.
a lot of it. Like I have not seen that much in the last 4 years. I haven't seen that much wrestling spread out across a wide variety of vendors and all different kinds of vendors, not just sports guys, but guys had like novelty shit and stuff like that. There was a lot of it out there, a
Mind you,
lot.
there was
And a lot of it has to do with
way more
Hogan too, I'm
vendors,
sure.
a lot more sellers this year though, right? Because we
A
thought
lot
we'd
more
seen it all,
sellers.
then we went to the upstairs part that you'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
It had another whole group of vendors. So just more volume of people means we might get more wrestling. But you know, like Ryan's booth, Chad's booth, and of course Ryan RB Cruz bunch. You know, they're sort of the preeminent.
But they all, I mean, we come to expect them to knock it out of the park every time. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
these
there was a
guys have
lot of other
been,
guys. And then
there's a lot of other guys who had a
there's
whole
our
booth dedicated just to it.
there's our vintage buddy. I don't even remember his name that we've seen every year. And when
Yeah.
we finally caught up with him, it was hugs all around. He was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you guys, I leave it here."
But Ryan, you got to walk the floor a lot before. Obviously the public gets in because you're working as a vendor badge like that. You see
Right.
a lot going on there, so you get to cherry pick. What you want to see. And did you? I think you probably could agree. You noticed a lot more wrestling cards out there, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I can tell you that Hulk Hogan signed everything put in front of him for the past 60 years.
Yeah,
Every
absolutely.
every booth, I'm telling you, every booth, they may have had 99% vintage baseball from the 50s, but they had 4 Hogan autographs too. And that was every booth. Every booth pulled every Hogan autograph they had.
Oh, everybody was
Obviously,
generating cash grabs for sure.
right. Well, obviously, with his passing, it was a hot ticket. Um, I saw some prices because I collect Brutus Beefcake, and he's on a lot of autographs with Hulk Hogan. Fortunately, I have a lot of the big ones already secured before he passed. Um, there were some people really proud of their cards, really
Yeah,
proud of their cards, really
that's a nice
proud
way
of the
to put it.
prices too. Like I just saw cards like I walk by and I go, okay. And I'm not sitting there. I do get in earlier because of the vendor badge. And I really can just do drive-bys because if you've never been to a national, you have absolutely no idea how immense this show is. You have no idea how immense it is. You have no idea. I mean, you can think you walk the floor and miss an entire room of 60, 70 tables very easily.
Yep.
So I have to do like drive-bys. So I would look and go, okay, if I don't see something I'm interested in right away, I'm not going to stop. So if it's vintage baseball, which is something I don't collect, I collect vintage football. I'll look for vintage football, and if I don't see that, I'll keep on walking. So that's part of it. And if I see wrestling, I stop. And the prices of stuff, it's the national. Everything's going to be higher than eBay, and I'm kind of sad because, and I'm going to go on a little bit of an old man rant right now. Okay, so yes, this is an old man yelling at the clouds. When I was coming up in the game and I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, you saw a card you wanted, the guy had a price and you negotiated. Now everybody, they ask a price or they look at the price and they do this.
Oh, everybody's doing that.
Well, in November of 2013, I said, no. And I would tell them, I said, look, it's the first, second, third day of the show. We've had to refill the showcases 4 times already. And you saw any vendor that has a table that looks like Swiss cheese with holes or cards are missing, they're priced right. And Chad's priced right. He had Swiss cheese all week.
Yep.
So I just remember being like, okay, you have 10, you take 5, no. 7, 6, done. And then maybe the card did sell for $4 and I paid too much. But the nickel and diming stuff, it's crazy to me.
Well, nickel and diming is one thing, but then you have people who are pricing like 50+% above market value, and then you're supposed to feel grateful you're getting it for 20% off their listed price.
Oh,
And
100%. 100%.
It's ridiculous.
I bought, one of my targets is, in addition to wrestling, my collecting focus is so narrow. It really is so narrow that I don't just buy every little thing I want to buy. There's a couple things I buy here and there, but like I really wanted to buy a 1958 Jim Brown rookie. And I'd been trying to get one for 2 years. I wanted one that was in an SGC slab because I have all my vintage footballs in SGC slab. And I wanted to see it in person because sometimes you get some lighting tricks online and it's expensive card. Could I have pulled my phone out and said, hey, this sold for 20% less? I could have, but I didn't because I finally found the card I wanted. The centering was great on it. And did I pay a little bit more? Probably. Is it all that much? Not really in the grand scheme of things. But, you're right. There are dealers that double the price and then drop it the 50%, like they're doing you a favor, and you're still paying 130% of what you can get it for. So, like, the perfect example to me is I was walking around a table and I saw a 1986 Topps Bo Jackson signed in person, not a pack pulled card. This was his rookie card signed, blue Sharpie, graded. Guy wanted 450. I said, that's kind of a cool card. I wouldn't mind owning that card. I look on eBay and you can buy it for $199 or best offer. Same card, same slab, same autograph quality, everything. But you know what? Maybe he sold it, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I will tell you, I will tell you, if you do not get there Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, if you are going there just Saturday, everything you wanted to buy is gone. Everything that was a deal is gone. And you are now looking at cards that 100,000 people have passed on. Just FYI.
Since you do the vendor side of it, I was curious. On Sundays, do vendors there tend to dump product or dump anything at all?
I think so. I think there's
is Sunday still like considered? I've been to hundreds of conventions over the years.
Right.
And Sunday is always a day that usually manufacturers, distributors, some people they want to dump a bunch of stuff, like get rid of stuff. That's the day to get the deals. Is that true with the National?
Yes, every dealer is different, right? There's some dealers that their price is the price and 10% or 5%. That's all I'm going to give you. I don't care if it's Wednesday. I don't care if it's Sunday. I don't care if it's online. It's going to be 10%. There's some dealers that, like I was picking up singles for a 1970 Topps football set. And there was some guys who were like, no, I'm 10% off, blah, blah, blah. And there's some guys like, I'll give you half off. I just want to like finish up this week, like I'm ready to go. So it goes, yes, you can find the dump deals. Absolutely. But that 10% mantra is ringing true. And it's pretty consistent across the show floor.
Got it.
So,
I want to switch gears a little bit because a minute ago, Paul mentioned about upstairs. So we had an upstairs this year that for me was a little bit disappointing in the sense there was a lot of wasted space upstairs for more vendors. Obviously, they need to have space for more vendors. It looked like they had plenty of space. I'm sure there's some logistical reasons why they couldn't use all of it, I guess. But even the space they did allocate for more vendors seemed to have way more narrow aisles. It was super packed up there. There was still wrestling present up there, not very much, but still wrestling present up there. It just seemed like, if we're like doing fantasy booking on ourselves for the show, like this would be a great place to take all the breakers and move them upstairs, the vendors, and put them back downstairs. Have the whole breaker pavilion up there for themselves. That just seems to make sense to me. I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason why they put the breaker.
I heard. So I consume national content afterwards because I want to see if people see the same things I do, right? Somebody mentioned that they should move the TriStar autograph pavilion upstairs.
Perfect.
Which I thought was a fantastic idea because we're in the room. Chad's booth is in the room with the TriStar pavilion, and it takes up about 50%. And upstairs, there's just as much room, if not more. And you could pack more dealers. You could probably get another, 200 dealers in there?
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So
because that area for the TriStar Pavilion area is just so massive because of the level of talent they bring in there and the way they have the line structures and stuff. And then you have to have all like the certification area right next to it to get it certified. It's massive, and you can put it all upstairs.
I whoever said that, I think that was a fantastic idea.
Can I make a comment about the narrowness of the aisles?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a thin guy, so I notice these things. Guys tend to be a little bigger at the National, but everyone wears their backpacks on the back. So just
what are you trying to say, Paul? What are you trying to say, Paul?
You know, not looking at anyone in particular,
Look at
right?
how thin Ryan is.
So you
He
got
doesn't qualify as a big boy anymore.
so you got these, you know, on average bigger people with their backpacks that are sticking out another foot and a half out. Like Tony says, you know, it's like being on an airplane. They could give us another 18 inches on both sides, but they didn't, you know, and it's like, yeah. And I remember I was walking and we turned a corner and we went back and I almost ran into a guy and he made the comment friendly, like they should get us all walking in the same direction. Because as soon as you get one group coming this way and the other going that way, just upstairs. Well, it was like that on the show because it's
Oh,
so
like an IKEA.
yeah, oh, yeah. It
Yeah,
was
like an IKEA.
well.
That'd be
You
great.
mentioned about the you know like I agree with everything that you said. That space is better suited to other things. But just to comment on the narrowness of the aisles, yeah, it's the backpacks. Everyone has these big backpacks.
Well,
You walk around
it's
with one,
it's
and the
not.
guy
It's
turns
the
around, he's
backpacks.
taking up three quarters
It's
of
the
the aisle.
luggages. It's the
All of it.
carrying
All of
cases.
it.
It's
So
Yeah, it's
everything.
all of that.
it's
It's all of that.
just like in Cleveland, someone didn't think about the road going into the show. No one thought about the roads in between the aisles upstairs. Anyways,
Yeah, and but I think that if that upstairs was maybe what 50 dealers, give or take.
Probably. Yeah. Give or
Yeah,
take.
maybe a bit more. It was pretty full.
no,
You know,
it
well,
was.
people wise, it was full, but the actual vendor space up there was
It
like
was half
two
of the
rows.
entire floor, right? So it was just one half
No, I think it was like a third or less, honestly.
because there was
I
one
think
Yeah.
section that was empty. Because that's what we when you made the comment, like, well,
right.
there's all this space here
Well, when you walked in the door, you had this giant floor space leading up to
and
a
nothing.
podium for to
Yeah.
check in for something. That's a gigantic area that's being wasted.
That wasn't even a
Uh,
check-in, we found out.
yeah, it wasn't even a check-in. And then you had to the right of it, empty, pipe and draped off area. Then you had the vendors on the left of you, and then behind them was more pipe and drape off, and then it just went back all the way to the
You
floor
think
space.
maybe it was a last minute decision? Like they just had such overflow of vendors and stuff
Yes,
that they decided,
yes,
hey,
because
I think so.
they have a
upstairs.
waiting list of I think like 400 plus names to get a
Right.
booth.
You know, and that's all money.
So yes,
So
I would not be surprised if next year they do some sort of restructuring of how that's going to work. Maybe they do put the autograph pavilion upstairs. I think it's a brilliant idea.
yeah, and not my idea, by the way. That I saw that on another video, and
No, I
I
wasn't crediting you as being brilliant at all.
no.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's in line with our friendship that you never do. But I will tell you that downstairs was fantastic as far as space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean I think I talked to you, Tony. I said I'm trying to figure out in my head. I'm trying to figure out is the show itself bigger or did they just spread it out more? Because they had a second corporate location. Usually the corporate location is one area in the main room and it's all together, but they had two this time, which I thought was nice because it broke it up. You had all the companies like Panini and Upper Deck and Tops were all on one side of the room, and then two rooms over, you had like check out my cards, and Walmart had a booth, and
Yeah.
some of the artists had booths, and the display pieces, and then some of the online apps. So they did a really good job. I like I said, I went upstairs once, did a walkthrough, didn't see anything I wanted to buy, and that was the last time I went up there. I do commend them on attempting to get more dealers on the show floor. I think that's a great idea. There was plenty of space. I saw multiple guys, going back to Paul's comment earlier, bigger guys, maybe not in the best shape, maybe not the best health, but I saw a lot of scooters, wheelchairs. And I can tell you, as somebody who has pushed somebody in a wheelchair around the National, it was not fun. And I feel like they had more room this year. So that design was fantastic. I've got very little bad to say about the show this year. I think they did a fantastic job. I know the VIP, getting your VIP badge was taxing. I'm not privy to that because I get my badge and I go in. But it seems like everybody got their badge and got on the show floor. And I will say that the food options were great and the pricing wasn't too bad.
My
No,
feeling is
for
that
some things. Well, for some things. I mean, I
Well,
still,
always.
I still feel a little, violated,
price
you
wise.
know, getting a hot dog for $12.
My
I-
feel though still, Rye, was that it was bigger than 2 years ago. For a guy that had bruised ribs walking around, it was a lot of floor to cover. Like it didn't
Oh,
feel
I know.
that way 2 years ago. So I think in accommodating more vendors, yeah, they might have spread things out a little more, but I still think it was a larger show than 2 years ago.
It was. As a
I
matter of fact, you left early on Saturday, and so some of us still had a little time before our later flights that day. So went back to the show. There's a whole corner area of, like Brian said, like 50, 60, maybe more vendors. Didn't even know they were there.
That
We
we
walked that whole thing
that
before
I
we
hadn't
left.
seen, right?
Yep, you hadn't even seen.
Yeah. Because we always try and determine, okay, how are we going to attack this? We usually go to a corner and we start walking, but then we invariably bang into people when we get off our road.
Yeah.
But after a couple of hours, I was spent. Like you did it all day Thursday, all day Friday, Tony, and I don't know, Ryan, how you could stay by the booth, but I was so happy to not go on the Friday I didn't get there till like 3, 4 o'clock. I was downtown on the L having a great time. Um, it was just too much, just a lot of walking. And again, Tony,
oh,
you were on a mission to buy for your store, and it's work, and I get that. But for me, this is all fun. This is all a holiday. This is all just a good time. So I'm not going to kill myself walking around. It was so big. It's just such a massive show. For anyone that's never been, and we say this every year, go. It'll blow your mind, the size and scope of this thing.
um,
Other than wrestling cards. Oh, well, go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say this was the first year that I woke up in the hotel room and said, I'll get there when I get there, and went back to sleep because I was exhausted. Like it is exhausting. It is exhausting because you're excited and you travel and you got to get to your hotel, and then you got to get to the convention center, and you get set up, and then I this is my third or fourth year with Chad now, so I understand the system and how everything works, and I love the fact that he trusts me with his cash. Like that's a big deal to me. That's a big deal that he allows me to handle cash and put it in the box and doesn't question me. And and I would never rip him off, obviously. But I appreciate that friendship and that level of friendship. That's hard to find. So that's just something that I was thinking, day in and day out, that I appreciate that from him. But
And on a different level, I kind of appreciate that, Paul allows me to spoon with him at night without giving me any question whatsoever. So
yeah,
think that's really
I
nice.
was
You
alone. I
just
was
keep the
alone
big
in my
envelope of
hotel
cash.
room, so
Well,
I just spooned with a pillow.
speaking of cash, you guys want to talk cash? Brian Gray, ex-president of Leaf, had a safe behind him that apparently had 3 million cash behind him. We saw the requisite 10-year-old kid, one, two, three, four, five,
Yeah.
$600 bills to buy a baseball card of a guy I'd never even heard of. Tony was walking around with a shit ton of money all weekend long, and I was nervous because, like he's just one snatch away. There is so much money at this show. It's
Yes.
unbelievable. There is it's in the multiple of millions of dollars, honestly, guys. Guys like Ravel and some of these guys make a point. I'm going to spend 5 million cash at the show. Cash we're talking about. There's no interact. There's no writing checks. There's no cash. You know, um, blows my mind every time.
Yeah, it's funny because if you consume content in the sports card space, you see guys who say, "Well, I spent $10,000. Oh, I spent $15,000," and some of it, I'm sure some of it's set up, but I've seen it firsthand. People spend that money.
Oh, yeah.
People spend that money. I've seen it.
Watching 12-year-olds do it, for crying out loud. They're breaking out they got their own little case, pull out their cards, doing a cash trade deal, and like just 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it's nothing. I go, dude, you're
$100 bills.
12.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, I walk table to table and I look at the prices and I go, how does anybody afford this hobby? Because like my wife and I, we make a pretty good living, but I took a couple $1,000 with me, because like I said, my collecting focus is so narrow, and that's a lot of money for me, and I'm like Paul, I'm like checking it every 3 minutes to make sure it's still in my fanny pack, but it's like $15,000, $16,500, $40,000. I saw a guy who had, I don't know if you know, but in the 1990s Simpsons set, there was an Art de Bart redemption
Art
card.
de Bart card. Love that card.
Yeah, the Art de Bart. And the Art de Bart was a redemption card that you could mail off, and you get a 101 sketch card from Matt Groening. And they were different. Most of them were Bart. Some had other members. And this guy had Bart, Homer, and Marge on one card. It has like a little like foil gold frame. They're beautiful cards. They sell between $5,000 and $6,000, give or take. I go, how much on the art? He goes, 50 grand. I've turned down 35. But he said it like it was $2. you know?
You had that guy at your booth with the Rhea Ripley cards. You remember? And you could just say,
Oh
get over
yeah.
here and see this. And this guy's got every one of one superfractor goal you can imagine. And there was some talk about that one with the multiple faces one of one. And there was some talk that he turned down 100,000 for it. And I'm
That's what
like,
it says.
$100,000. You guys understand what 100 grand is relative to a little piece of cardboard of Rhea Ripley? But yeah, it's astounding
Well,
that
I mean,
It is.
that's the economy.
I've turned down significant amounts of money for my Jordan rookie. You know,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
at some point, you know, you fall in love with something and you don't. Now that's modern. Like if I can't think of any modern card I would pull that I would not accept $100,000 for. Like period.
Yeah.
MJ is a different situation because it is like one of the Mount Rushmore of iconic cards. But yeah, the amount of cash and the repackers buying everything in sight, that stuff's absolutely true. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's fun. It's to live vicariously through people. Here is the problem. Here is the problem that wrestling cards is having now. And I saw it for the first time up close. We have people in this space, in a space where the majority of the inhabitants are collectors, right? You are now getting people who are not collectors picking up big pieces. I'm not talking about the Rhea Ripley guy. I firmly believe that he is
He's
a collector.
All
But
right.
I've met other people who wanted to move cards and they are there just to make money. They
Yep.
don't care about the sport. They don't care about the people involved, the wrestlers. They don't care about the collecting aspect. They pick
I
up
have
high-end
zero
cards.
connection to wrestling other than a financial gain.
100%, 100%. And now, but you can look at that two different ways. One is, oh, that sucks. I hope he doesn't get a card I want. Or two, have we arrived? Have we arrived to the levels of, I mean, we're not there yet, but basketball, baseball, football, if we're getting people coming in,
Wrestling cards is a major playing field now. There's
right?
no question
So,
about that. And I've been preaching that for the last couple of years now as these prices keep rising, saying that this is what we wanted. Acknowledge us. We've grown up, and these are part of the growing pains as wrestling card collectors now of being taken seriously.
Give
right,
us, Tony,
and
your
that's
perspective as a reseller. Like you were one of these repackers. Obviously, you represent the hobby, but you were there for economic reasons. Um,
Yep.
it obviously has to be economically viable for you to do such a thing. And you spent like you were at work. You spent 2 days solid of chasing.
I totaled up what I did for the weekend, and I spent 5 figures.
Yeah, I know, I know, but it's not only the spending of the money, but we went to one booth, you bought a few, and then they said they might have a case, and then you said, okay, well, check your store and get back to me, and then you made sure
Yeah, yeah.
there, like Ryan said a little while ago, if there's something in front of you that you really want, don't hesitate. Like
I
guys,
almost spent even more because on Saturday
yeah,
when you left and we checked at that other corner we didn't know existed,
there was more,
there was an Attitude Era booklet from Panini that I almost bought.
right?
And
You can't hesitate.
it was a BGS 8.5. It's signed by Stone Cold, Trish, Bret Hart, Mankind. It was a nice booklet, number to 25, 8.5, and the guy wanted, he wanted 4K for it, and for one of those rare moments for me where I saw it, I went, oh, he took out of the case, I held up my hand, and I was like, man, I have a connection with this somehow. I almost want this. Like
it's like holding your newborn baby.
Ryan
it
mentioned the Jim.
was. It was
Ryan mentioned the Jim Brown card. You guys know that I was on a pretty significant purchase last night. If I would have hesitated, if I would have thought about it, it was gone to someone else. And sometimes that's what it is. You got to make your move, or else you might not see it again ever.
Oh no, but
well, I
I
had
can
the
tell
guys that
you,
were with me, talk me off that cliff.
I can tell you, hourly at Chad's booth, somebody passed on a card and came back and it was
It
gone.
was gone. Yeah.
Hourly.
Yeah.
And it's the tagline of the National has always been, if it's not the National, it doesn't exist. Well, there's no way to quantify that. But I tell you what, if you pass on a card at the National, it's probably going to be gone. So, if you see something you want in that setting, the pain of losing it over like $100 or $50 or $200 is always worse than paying it, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a 101. Like he had multiple 101s that we
Not just
sold
the
that,
national, just in general for wrestling cards now. We're at that
right.
point now where if you need something and you've been on it for a while and it's in front of you and you think about it, not good. Gone.
No,
Yeah.
and you know what? If you talk about the numbers, I paid a little bit more than I probably should have for that Jim Brown card, but I will tell you this: the centering on it's fantastic. I think it's undergraded. It's SGC 3.5. I think it's undergraded. And comparing other copies of that card around the show floor after I bought it and what they were asking for, I got a steal. I got a steal because they were asking for ones I think that they put in their bike spokes yesterday, and they wanted $1,200, $1,300, and I saw cards that were SGC graded higher that can't hold a candle to the one I got. So I probably need to resubmit it and get another look at it.
Sounds like
so
it.
it's just, if it's, but that goes for anything, even on eBay or Facebook or Instagram. If somebody has something you want, don't nickel and dime yourself out of it. Just buy it, unless it's outrageously expensive. And the guy, I had a situation where a card came up I wanted. The guy was a complete knob. And he was being a knob. And I said, you know what? I'm good. He's like, well, I can get more for it. I go, man, you can't, but okay. I'll get that card eventually, no problem.
Yep.
And then it was funny because we were at the table and Chad, he goes, a guy named that goes by Dennis the Ripper on Instagram? I go, no. He goes, oh, he's a big breaker out of Germany. I go, oh, cool. He goes, well, he's here and he just posted this. And apparently he had, I don't know what the other card was, but he had a Beefcake 101 autograph from Immaculate, and he had crossed the other card out. He goes, yeah, he just sold it. He has that card here. He's walking around with it. I go, call him back. So about an hour later, this guy shows up, and Chad actually bought that card for me for helping him out, which I thought was nice. Really nice. It was really awesome. So we took a picture together, and it's just you have to jump on that stuff when it's available. And I had never even seen that card. It had never hit eBay. It's crazy to me that stuff just doesn't hit eBay anymore. That you see stuff and it's like, okay, this card's 3 years old at this point, but it's never hit eBay. So, or any of the socials that I can find. So, but yeah, if you see stuff you want, buy it. Please
consider the FCW cards that we did business on, the group of us.
Yep.
When you discovered them, the next thing you know, we're out to guys that we know. You're talking to Matt and a few other things, and we didn't let any of them stay. We made sure that Tony grabbed what was left. Nick got a few of them. Ben got involved. And we took them all. It's like, yeah, because we know what happens if we don't. You're not going to get those again at those prices.
Right. And it's just.
Yep. I want to switch gears up a little bit here. Non-wrestling stuff that I want to point out that I saw there. One is WNBA cards. There were a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot. Everybody's jumping in on the WNBA, which to me is becoming like wrestling cards in that sense, because it's a market that has grown a lot, and we all know why.
Caitlin Clark is the 1985 Hulk Hogan.
100%. It's Caitlin Clark, and anyone that says otherwise just hates Caitlin Clark for no reason.
She's going to take it to the whole next level, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I got the kid here is with me today and asking for some more approval time on his iPad. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that I noticed a lot of WNBA cards hitting the floor. Everywhere I went, you'd see it. And sometimes it was mixed in with the wrestling cards, but also mixed in with wrestling cards. And I wanted to pose this question to both you guys, and then anybody watching this want to chime in on it as well. And that was basically UFC cards versus WWE cards. Do you think a lot of these vendors are into both? Do they think they put them in the same category?
Well,
carry them?
I saw a lot more wrestling than MMA.
I did too. I saw a lot more WWE or anything wrestling related than I did MMA cards.
I was kind of looking for ice cream cards for Chuck, the few National Treasures I needed, and some Doctor Who Chucks it if I saw it. And that was it. So I was sort of scoping every table. What's there? Baseball, oh, a couple of wrestling, baseball, oh, another Hulk Hogan, and
I do the same. I do the same that Ryan does. I walk an aisle and I can quickly observe a booth, and if it's got absolutely not, it's all baseball. It has no interest to me.
Yeah, like you remember that 85 Pro Wrestling Stars box, that 8500, like it hit both our eyes at the same time. We just both at each other, and then off to the next thing that's going to blow our mind. And that's what the National is. You're going to see stuff. Now, again, fortunately, we have a bit of experience in wrestling and their values, so we can put ourselves into the ballpark and realize, okay, this is reasonable, or this is high, this is low. But the national is generally more money. But you have to understand these guys come from far and wide to set up, and this is like their Christmas. Like some of these guys, they make their year at the national, and I get that, and we benefit from it because we can go to one place for 3 nights and see it all and get
Yep.
a very good, like what we're talking to you guys about now, give you guys a snapshot as to the health not only of the wrestling cards, but the hobby in general. And things are
Yeah,
going
my wife's trying to convince me to get on that waiting list now and actually maybe get a table for one of these years.
well.
I don't know if I'm sold on that idea yet.
You'd make money, but it'd be a lot of work.
I know. Convention life is not a big
Oh,
thing for me. It's just it is taxing. It is exhausting. It is all of those things. I get it, but when you enjoy it, I love the con life as we call it. I love walking floors. I can do it from open to close, and I'm exhausted by the end of the day,
you
but I'll
know,
get right back up and do it
if you,
again.
if you ask me outright, do I think a wrestling guy store Phoenix at the National would fly? I'd say it's going to fly fucking big time. Big time. I can't believe how many figures I saw just at Niagara Falls show that we went to 2 months ago. People are buying that stuff up, and you told me that figures is your biggest SKU.
Oh, yeah,
So
it's
it's like,
65% of my sales, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
So
mean,
there's a market for all this stuff, wrestling wise.
that's great to see a lot of different things. We'll wrap it up here, but I want to say one more thing. It was great to see like the selection that we had of wrestling cards from vintage to modern. It was nice not only to see display cases filled with wrestling. Sometimes, again, Chad and Ryan, the other guys over there, they have many dedicated display cases to them. But you see some guys who had smaller tables still having a whole display case devoted to wrestling. Then you had guys that had brought a lot of common singles. They brought a lot of singles. There was a lot of it out there, a lot of it. And you had guys like one of my customers went out there, and Nick went out there as well, and they sat for a couple hours at booths just going through all their singles. And I can't do that. Like I walked to a booth and I just said, "Oh, hey Nick, pull all the Flair era singles." And then Nick's like, "Why? You know what? Yeah, f that. Just buy the whole damn box. How much for the whole box?"
And
Right.
remember too, it's not just cards, like the Heritage booth had all the Savage stuff, the boots. There was two
Oh
different
yeah,
Hulk Hogan boots. Pex All Stars were on display. This is stuff you don't see every day. So it's really an experience. And if you're into wrestling, you're going to get your fill, definitely.
for
And
sure. I mean, it felt a lot better this year than last year for sure. Last year, where I did try to look for boxes, I was looking for blaster boxes because the years before I found tons of it. But last year I didn't find any of it. And this year I didn't find as much, but I was more focused on specifically what I was looking for. And I did happen to find that. But there's a good representation across the board of everything wrestling now at the National this year. Like everything from cards to there were action figures, lunch pails, you name it. There was magazines. It was all over. Event worn gear. It was everywhere. It was nice.
Yeah.
and it's wrestling hasn't been relegated to a two-row shoebox behind the guy under the guy's table.
100%.
It's
It's out
there's
there front and center for you to go and see now.
it is, and it's baseball, football, basketball, wrestling, UFC. That's they
Yep.
always compare them together. And I can tell you, as a UFC collector and someone who's been in UFC cards since round one, 2000, I think 8 or 9 tops, wrestling has blown past UFC. UFC is the niche of niche sports at this point, collectibles wise.
That's great.
WN,
That's a whole episode I like to talk about down the road because that's a whole episode I think would be interesting in how that history has played out for UFC and having such a great hot license there for such a long time. And now it just got, I don't give a shit. I'm going to say anyways, it's getting the upper deck treatment. Just doesn't,
well,
it's not getting the love.
2009 round one was received well, and then they had a span of about 4 or 5 years from 2010 to 15 where you had Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, George St. Pierre, all those guys who are just the legends of the sport. And I tell you, you talk about legends not selling in a sport, go to UFC because that is the ultimate what have you done for me lately sport, really. I mean, I've seen somebody said so. Ilya Taporia, who's one of the champions, he's the hot name right now. Someone paid $100,000 for his 101 Prism Black, I think. The moment he gets knocked out, that card's a grand. It's just that's the way that sport works. I've seen it.
That's kind of how it
time
works in
again.
football too. You get a guy, a running back who is doing 170 to 200 yards in a game like that, and next thing you know, he gets injured, and he ain't around no more. Now his product
Right.
just kind of goes down.
Right. And that's kind of nice thing about wrestling is that, you know, the legends are the legends, and the storylines, you know, obviously storylines play a big role in who's hot at a certain point. But, you know, like Rhea Ripley, her value's set. Seth Rollins, his value is set. We know where they're at. You know, will they go up a little bit? Maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah, but if you're Gable Steveson and you never wrestle a match in your life, you know,
Well, but that was
your $8,000 prism is back to nothing where it should be, you know.
that
So
was that was a gimmick. That
yeah.
was it's like Pat McAfee, like Pat McAfee's cards, you know. And you know, the pop culture aspect, Logan Paul, when Logan Paul gets cards, they'll be huge. Just like the Travis Scott, you know, that was huge for a while, and now he's persona non grata with the organization. So, but his cards will still be hot because he has fans. You know, I wish Topps would put out more products for sure. They need to start putting out more. But other than that, things are churning right along for sure.
And very good, man. So overall, I think this year was definitely a major step forward from last year. You know, just the location of last year just didn't seem to jive well for many people logistically. Also representation wise of products that we're probably looking for didn't seem to be as heavy as it was this year. This year just like really stepped it up for me. It felt very national to me compared to
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
It was good. So I am looking forward to going back next year. So next year will be in Chicago, followed by Chicago again, and then in 2028 we have Detroit.
Should we talk about that? Is Detroit going to be another Cleveland?
Let's just be real quick and we'll wrap this up. So what do you guys think about being in Detroit?
Yeah, is that going to be another Cleveland? I mean, you know, it seems like we need something as big as the Stevens Center to hold something this big, and the Detroit is going to be small again. So
I mean, the biggest convention center in
it's
the
great for
country
me. I
here
can
is in
drive.
Anaheim.
I can
No one
drive from
coming to
Toronto.
Anaheim.
Right, I can drive from Toronto to Detroit, so I'll get there. Not on,
Um,
but I don't know.
so as this was my hold on 23rd national this year. I've seen Chicago, Anaheim, Atlantic City, Cleveland,
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore's in there too. I think that the National should be in Chicago every year.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think it should be a staple the end of July every single year. And if you're going to move it every third or fourth year. So do like 3 years in Chicago, 1 year in Detroit or whatever. I can tell you Atlanta would have been an absolute nightmare to get in and out of as far as it was between Detroit and Atlanta, for those of you who don't know. The dealers voted on it. They voted for Detroit. I'm cool with it. It's another place I haven't been. So let's see how it works out. If the National experiences the growth it experienced this year over 2 more years, I hope it can hold it for sure.
that's my
Because
point.
next
The
year's gonna be
infrastructure is in
bigger.
place in Chicago. You know, they have it down there as best as you can get for a show that's, I don't want to say unwieldy, but it's grown to such a level now that it's got to be one of the largest shows of the.
But what's it going to do next year? And then 2027, it's going to be a monster, Paul. It already is.
Mhm.
It's this almost, and I heard people saying it's too big, which is kind of stupid because if you're going to go to a yearly national convention, you want it to be big. Just plan your trip better and don't think you can go through the entire thing in half a day. It doesn't work like that. You need multiple days. So, but overall, I had a great time. You know, I saw some friends I hadn't seen in a long time, took a lot of pictures. You know, RBI crew and Ryan Bannister, they're always awesome. They're always arms wide open, friendly. We were on the backside of Indy, I think it's Indy Card Exchange. I forget the name. You know, I the owner's name escapes me. Andy. Andy owns that, and he's the guy I bought the Jim Brown from, and he was super, super nice, and their team was great. And what they've done is those shops have kind of gotten around each other. So they all kind of have a little bit of the same stuff. So when you get to that section, you're going to see a lot of wrestling, right? Because they all have it versus wrestling here, 10 more boosts, nothing, a lot of wrestling, 10 more boosts, nothing. Like if you come to that little quad area, and even the guy, I think his name was GG2, who was next to RBI crew, he had a lot of wrestling too. It's a great location, great people. Always happy to see them. Always. And always happy to see you guys. You and I see Tony a lot, but it's good to see you, Paul. Always.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So I really enjoyed this year, and I look forward to next year and the years to come. Um, I mean, I got nothing really. We covered some things that we were displeased with, but compared to last year, man, it was a blast. It
Yeah,
was
and
just
I think if we put a little more energy and we work with Adam to get the trade night back on the rails, and hopefully we'll have a bit better luck with the organizers insofar as the panel. But who's to say? Maybe there won't be a panel next year. But the idea is that we want to do that for community, but we also want to enjoy ourselves as well. When it starts to become a thing, it's like, you know what, I'm spending too much money to come here and be disappointed. So
yeah, when it turns into a job, I don't want to do it. I'm having too much fun for it right now. But I mean, there's a job aspect to it, obviously, having being a store owner. But I kind of sort of put that inside, just hanging out with my friends and being able to see everything's going on. It's like that. It's like, hey, you know what? This is cool. Going over here. I'll catch you guys over there later. I got to go over here and make a deal real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always great. Chicago deep dish, Chicago original roast beef, wonderful.
Right. It's
Cool, guys.
I think that my last parting shot's going to be it's more about people now for me than cards.
Sure.
It's more about seeing people, because for those of you who don't know, Chad's shop was originally his dad's shop in 1995, and I went there as a 15-year-old in Pittsburgh. So I've known his dad for 30 years, and we sit down and we reminisce like we're, old buddies that have known each other for a long time. And we talk about, back home, as he calls it, because he's in Pittsburgh and I'm in Arizona, and I just have the best time. And Nate's awesome. And I just, as I get older, it's about the relationships and seeing people. If I wasn't helping Chad, I'm not so sure I would go, honestly. I just think that, like I said, my collecting focus is so narrow that I like having a job to do while I'm there. So, but that's it. I had a great time. If you can make it next year, absolutely make it. It's always fun to meet more people like Jamie. We met Jamie this year.
Jamie Stalker was there.
Yeah,
Got
Jamie
to hang out
Stalker.
with Ben Woo Woo. Drake was there, obviously, to see you guys. It's just a good time.
Yep.
And it's funny because Ben Woo Double Woo Woo, he knew me only through social media, right? Yeah. And
you guys got on famously.
Yeah,
we did. And I told him, I said, you may not like me now, but in an hour you're gonna like me. And he kind of looked at me sideways. I go, trust me, you're gonna like me in an hour. And guess what?
He liked you in an hour.
He liked me in an hour.
Yeah, great guy, by the way. That was real treat.
Great guy,
awesome. Yeah. Another perspective.
I give a parting shout out to the Brotherhood group for helping us with the Q&A on our panel, making entertaining like that. Miss Chuckster being there, always miss Chuckster when he can't attend something like this.
Love you, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck.
But other than that, man, we had a great time, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next year for the show. Well, I'll see Ryan in a couple of weeks here. But then, I got nothing else, guys.
That's it. So another National in the books. We'll see you in 2026.
Yep, and stay tuned, because following right now, we're going to start playing our panel. So check it out. Well, we're here at the 2025 National Sports Convention. This is our wonderful wrestling panel. My name is Tony Vela with WrestlingTradingCards.com. I don't know who this guy is, but he's going to introduce himself.
My name is Paul Anand from Wrestling Card Price Guide. Year 4, Tony. We're back at it.
What am I back at? What, for me?
Well, we're back here at the National.
Yeah, year 4. Yeah, we've been doing this for a little while now, so we're happy to bring wrestling cards to the National. We've been doing it, like I said, for 4 years now. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger as far as popularity of wrestling cards, and we're here to talk a little bit about it. What do we got here, Paul?
Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to cover the modern era of wrestling. We're going to cover the vintage era of wrestling. Big news in our hobby, obviously, is that Hulk Hogan passed away last week, and he had a massive impact on wrestling card sales and popularity. So we're going to cover that stuff. Let's start with the vintage stuff. Tony, why don't you talk about...
We can talk about some of the vintage stuff, absolutely. So we like to break things down a little bit this year, both modern and vintage. We're going to do vintage first. We've had some great sales. I mean, for wrestling cards, it's come a long way. To even crack the top 5, you have to be in 5 figures now. I mean, that's unheard of. I guess for us that are in the hobby, it's become more the norm, but you would have told me 5 years ago that we're going to have consistent, $10,000 plus wrestling cards, I would have laughed at you.
But here we are.
But here we are. I mean, number 5 alone, to get in that top 5, you're looking at an 82 Hogan Wrestling All-Star from a BGS 9. That was at $15,860.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
And
man.
that's the lowest one.
That's the lowest. And it's just crazy to me that a wrestling card gets that high, but it's about time, I say. What we got in the next one? We got 85 Hogan Tops PSA 10. That's 19 grand. 19 grand for a Tops. How many of you guys threw that stuff away when you were a kid? I mean, that stuff was part of the junk wax era, was it not? Drake over there would know. He would know that stuff.
Well, we just saw a box on the floor for $8,500.
I know, a box on the floor for $8,500. Fun fact about those, a lot of that stuff was part of the junk wax era. It's actually a little more difficult now to find a mint box that does not have a black streak across it. The black streak would signify that was dump product, to get rid of it. Star Wars, wrestling, anything Tops from the 80s, early 90s, all became dump product. So to see that these cards are holding some incredible value, it's crazy. I know there's a lot of commotion going on over there, some good non-wrestling stuff. We don't want to talk about those guys. Third on our list here, we've got the 85 Hogan Tops PSA 10, another one. And that one sold for $19,700 last year.
Where'd Ben go? I think he might have had something to do with that sale, right?
He might have had something to do that.
He went off for a beer, so,
Yeah, bring me back a beer, would you please? Then we had 85 Hogan O-Pee-Chee. That's a PSA 10.
O-Pee-Chee from Canada?
You know a little bit about that.
Yep.
That went for $20,100. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And then the top one, Paul, you were watching this thing late in the night. I fell asleep. So
the top sale of the year was the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars Hulk Hogan for $103,700. It's not the highest ever. We had one last year for $132, and that still sits as the highest wrestling card sale ever. And Hulk Hogan has 7 of the top 10 wrestling card sales of all time. So if there's ever any question as to who the most popular name is in wrestling and in wrestling cards, quite clear.
It's Hogan.
It's Hogan.
It's absolutely Hogan. And before we go over to the modern stuff, though, I want to break a little bit into the indie cards. Everybody talks about all the popular wrestlers out there of Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, Andre, but there's a niche within our niche about the indie promotions. And what those are, for those who don't know, a lot of small promotions out there. Back in the day, we call them territories. They produce their own cards because we live in a world now where it's very easy to produce our own trading cards. So a lot of the diehard wrestling card collectors are looking and prospecting for who might be the next big star. So they're looking for indie promotions. Maybe there's a promotion in Maryland, maybe there's a promotion in Arizona or California, sometimes in Germany or wherever. So people are looking for the next big possible, superstar. There's a lot of stuff that's come out over the past years actually, it's like that. So that hobby keeps continuing to grow. We have a group of guys in this hobby called the Brotherhood. Shout out to the Brotherhood, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even know about half of these things. That keep finding new and interesting cards within the wrestling world that are incredible designs and contain, superstars of tomorrow that you just never know who's going to be the next Hogan or Roman Reigns.
Yeah, like to give you an idea, at the end of my street, there's a church. And in that basement, once a month, we have indie wrestling. And it's a blast. And we have tons of people. And something like that's happening all across North America in towns all over. And like you say, it's not as prohibitive to make your own cards anymore. So we see a lot of releases from independent guys, and it's a very good point that you never know who the next superstar is going to be.
And what's interesting is that both Paul and I run websites for well over 10, 20 years now that archive all this information. And so a lot of the grading companies out there look to us to help validate and authenticate these cards that they're legit, they're real. And that helps with people who want to collect and maybe even get them graded, because that's obviously where it's at when it comes to the money side of it. So I think it's been an amazing thing to see independent cards grow to where they're at. I say if you find a card laying on the ground, that's just me. I pick them up, man. I never know what it could be.
Yeah, exactly.
But speaking of that, so we have modern cards now.
Well,
and unfortunately,
before I go to modern, I want to make a point about Panini.
Oh, yes.
Panini used to be a major player in the wrestling world. They had the WWE license until last year. reverted back to tops. But what Panini has done is they're working now with a company called Major League Wrestling, and they're doing indie stuff. And they're going to be doing more in indie federations. So that gives you an idea that if a company, I can see Panini's booth from here in the neon lights. If they're getting into indie wrestling, then there's something there.
I don't know. Here's what I thought I had about that too. Do you find that that's just sort of them kind of grabbing at straws a little bit now, trying to stay within the niche?
Well, maybe, but the indies don't suffer for it.
No, I mean, wrestling card collectors don't suffer at all from that. But
No.
I kind of find that it's almost like grabbing at straws there a little bit.
Maybe.
Like, why not go after the TNA license? Why not? Why not go after? I mean, you can't go after
I have a
AEW,
feeling
but
the TNA might actually go to an upper deck.
never know. You never know. But I think it's kind of cool and interesting. I think they're doing what like the live now, like Tops now.
Yeah,
they're
they're
doing
coming out.
Panini Moments or whatever.
Right.
And then they're going to release
an
actual
e-card.
physical product, I think.
And another thing about indie, or I guess we can call it custom cards, there's also a market for artists. Kevin Gus, for example, does an art series, 75 Kings.
Yep.
Our friend Nick gets involved with a friend of ours, Adrian, and they do a lot of custom stuff. And custom stuff is highly desirable as well.
Well, here's the issue I have with that, and I've always told you, I've always referred to that stuff as kind of bootleg stuff.
Well, that's what it is.
I mean, you can start getting licensing problems there.
Yeah, it's all licensing.
It's all licensing problems. Yeah. When you do independent stuff, you're getting permission from the promoter, who gets permission from the talent, obviously permission from the photographer.
Usually
but the
the
people who end
photographer.
up making their own cards and then selling them,
Well,
it's a gray area that I always kind of have a problem with.
kind of like doing this.
Well, when we were promoting, we're just self-promoting. We're not actually selling anything either, but it seems to be like a little of a gray area. It's really number 99. So I have a little love-hate relationship when it comes to stuff like that, but it's still exciting to see that people get into these customs and independent cards. So,
And of course, you mentioned Indie Brotherhood. They're such a force, and we rely on them so much for information. If it wasn't for the guys in the Indie Brotherhood,
I'll take it live on the air, baby.
There we go.
I'll take that. I love when they bring me a beer.
Everybody, Mr. Ben Woo Woo.
Mr. Woo Woo, how you doing, sir? Is this not illegal? Not illegal. I don't care. All right, wait. Well, I think that's pretty much covered most of the independent stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff is coming out all the time. But one thing about, I'll close it with this, with indie stuff. It used to come out fast and furious. There were some weeks where 2 or 3 releases were coming out, and it was really hard to keep up. It seems to have slowed down a bit.
A little.
I'm kind of
A little.
okay with that. 'Cause
I'm getting a nod out there. So yeah, it's not as much as we used to see.
I think the flip side too is the major companies are putting out more product too, with the live, with the moments, with the Tops Nows, things like that. It's just it's still a lot to absorb, but that's kind of where we're at with wrestling cards now.
Yeah.
We wanted to be taken seriously. We wanted to be a major player, and that's what happens when you're a major player.
Like you said at the outset, from where we were 4 years ago when we turned up here today, the growth in wrestling cards has been absolutely phenomenal. And that has a lot to do with Tops and Fanatics and the energy they're putting behind promoting their product, and the growth of indie stuff, and Upper Deck getting involved with AEW, and so on and so forth. But we've been busy.
Yeah, it's been really busy.
We've seen quite an increase over these few years.
What was that? Yeah, indie pre-sales, man.
We don't like
Boy,
those, do
I
we?
think the Brotherhood has really strong opinions about this, and they are absolutely right, man. I absolutely hate pre-sales.
Define what it is so people
Okay,
understand.
well, for pre-sales, a lot of these promotions out there are asking for your money up front to help finance making these trading cards. And it seems a lot lately that people are waiting 6 months, 8 months, a year or more to get their stuff. I don't think they're getting their stuff. And that's really not cool of these promotions doing that. So I don't like doing pre-sales. The Kevin Gus of the world's like that. Established guys who put out good quality products always will buy their stuff, even pre-sale. But a lot of these promotions out there, I think they're doing their core customer base, their fan base, a disservice by not fulfilling those pre-sales when they should be.
Well, they're waiting until they have enough money in hand to go to print.
If you don't have the money to print them, then don't make them.
When we made our set, we fronted everything.
Yeah, we fronted everything.
Thousands of dollars of
Yep.
upfront costs. whether we make it back, who knows? But the idea is that we don't want the community to pay for our product.
I mean, I produce a trading card set for a local promotion from Phoenix, Arizona called Phoenix Championship Wrestling. I front all that. They don't pay any of that stuff. For me, it's just a way to give to the local community out there, also to sell at my store at some point in time.
Right.
And who knows who's going to be the next big star.
Those are great looking cards, by the way.
Fantastic designer and really good stuff. I'm really proud of them.
Really nice.
You have the stuff like that. You have Pete Lynch putting out great cards.
Yeah.
You have Kevin Gus.
Yeah.
You have I haven't seen anything from 75 Kings in a long time.
No, it's been quiet.
Adrian Brown puts out quality work on everything he's ever touched.
Fabulous designer.
So I mean, hell, he did these.
Yep. Well, not,
I mean, he did
he
the
did
whole.
the backs.
Yeah.
And what these are, by the way, is we have our 3 shows. Tony runs WrestlingTradingCards.com, and I run Wrestling Card Price Guide. And we decided many years ago that we would be stronger if we worked together, helping each other to try and suss out what's out there and sharing notes between each other. And in fact, I didn't even know Tony when I wrote the original Wrestling Card Price Guide. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, do you want to promote your WTC in the book? And he said, sure. And then he set me up with the guy from TriStar and gave me the whole back cover of Hulk Hogan, who had just came out in his first TNA set,
Yep.
the new era.
2010.
So we didn't even know each other when we were doing business.
Yep.
And then during COVID, Tony sat with Dave Porto, the guy that he started WrestlingTradingCards.com, and they did a video.
Story that keeps getting told over and over
and then
again.
the next thing you know, we did a video.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, we did many videos.
I think we're probably over 200 episodes. You can go onto our channel and
So
check
that's
out.
what we're promoting now, is that on YouTube, you can go back and you can watch. We have 3 shows. We have our 3 count, which is like a monthly or quarterly wrap up of what's going on in the hobby.
Yep.
We have Hot Topic, which talks about whatever is new and exciting.
Whatever.
By the way, is the Raw Big One going up tomorrow?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I forgot
Sorry.
to ask you that.
I dropped the ball on it. It's ready to go, but I just too busy.
And the last thing is the Collector Series. The
Collector
Collector Series is a fun one because we talk to people. We talk to people in the hobby, guys and gals. The girls, we got to do your Arizona
will.
chicks.
We will.
That's going to be a good one too, right? Nick, you know about what I'm talking about.
But we do a lot of different episodes. Those are our 3 primaries, and then every once in a blue moon of something newsworthy comes out, we'll try to get together as quickly as possible and cover things like, hey, Topps got the license back or something like that, or someone's going bankrupt or whatever. We'll talk about that with the collectors. So it's always moving and growing. That's what these are, to help promote that. We'll be handing them out to everybody through the whole show. Come hit us up. We'll throw a bunch of them at you.
Oh,
Breakers in the hobby. I tried doing for me personally, my only experience is doing a whatnot, and I know that the major people here is like that. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me.
Which is weird because you'd be good at it.
To me, it's like eBay on crack.
It's a bit of a dog and pony for sure.
And I just don't have the time nor the energy to be an entertaining person like that, I guess. I think it's great for buyers. Me as a seller, when I was selling, I took a bath on it. I was given $500 worth of merchandise for $100 and something in total. It was not worth it to me. I think if you're looking at singles, it's a great thing to do. But breakers as a whole, it's almost like grading with me. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. I see what its purpose is for. I understand what it's good for the hobby, but I also see the negative side, so I'm not quite sure how I want to handle that. I kind of just stay away from it. I'm still collecting old school wise.
Okay, let's talk about modern.
Modern stuff. We can do modern.
Well, now we're dealing with Topps, and they have the WWE license, and they're putting a ton of energy into their product. They're advertising on the shows, and Topps is owned by Fanatics.
Which is amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Seeing a card company actually advertising on TV, on PLEs, in publications, on social media. Topps is on it. They're on everything. It's making it very, very accessible to everybody. And I know as a store owner, I have had more phone calls or people coming into the store asking, do you have Topps 2025 Chrome? Do you have Chrome? Do you have Chrome? Do you have Chrome? Who are just getting into the hobby for the first time.
Very successful release.
Yeah. And so their marketing campaign across the whole board is top notch.
Yeah. No, they've reclaimed the license, and they're serious about it. They're going to make a splash for sure.
Well, when you combine Topps owned by Fanatics and put those two together, it's a no-brainer, man. They're doing a fantastic job.
So why don't we go through the top year-to-date sales of modern?
We can. We'll start from the bottom up.
Yep.
I have my cheat sheet here, folks, just so you know. So otherwise, I like to just kind of ad-lib
Well,
it.
every show we do, we have a cheat sheet.
So,
People can't just see it.
well, he makes the cheat sheets. I just go with the flow. At $11,000, that took $11,000 to crack our top 5. That was a 2024 flawless Cody Rhodes diamond logo card. That's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, it's the highest Cody sale ever.
Highest code. What's most impressive to me is the number 4 spot.
Yeah, me too.
Was a Julia, a 2024 Julia Select Gold Vinyl sold for $10,755.
Just to give you an idea, Select isn't Prism. You know,
Yes.
Select isn't immaculate.
No.
It's, you know, it's not
No, Select is
impeccable.
just Select.
It's just Select.
But
It's a great set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But and then
The goals
seeing a
are
name
popular.
like Julia be in the top 5, not another Rock, not another Cena or a Roman Reigns, Julia,
Yeah.
who I'm sorry is not getting the pop that I see like at Io Sky or a
Stephanie's getting a bigger pop.
Vaquera.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just a weird one. Number 3, we got the Rock Panini Select Gold Vinyl 1 of 1. 1 of 1s are 1 of 1s, man. They're unicorns.
And The Rock is The Rock. We talked earlier about Hogan being the top name in vintage and overall. Number 2 would certainly be The Rock, and he does have the second highest sale of all time.
It's really interesting because you're going to have vintage and you have modern. The king of vintage is Hogan. Overall, the entire hobby is Hogan. The king of modern is The Rock.
Absolutely.
And the numbers show that. So we have that gold vinyl. That sold for $12,000, which is
Huge.
low. It's low for a Rock card.
Yeah, but
it really is.
it's still 5 figures.
It's still 5 figures.
on a
I get
modern
it.
wrestling card.
I think by next year, we come back again next year, it'd be like, 5 figures. And we got 2025 Chrome, The Rock Final Boss. That's the inscription one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's inscribed The Final Boss. It sold for $13,500. That even to me was still low for that. I think a lot of us had expectations that this might be a high 5-figure, possibly low 6-figure card. So that wouldn't actually surprise me.
And the top one, drum roll please.
A 2025 Chrome Rock Retro Auto Superfractor PSA 9. That is a lot of words to say there.
Yep.
That was for $15,860. Again, I still think low. I do think low.
Well, there were some private sales that we don't discuss private sales unless we can verify them with buyer and seller. But, there was some higher than that. But $15,860 happens to be the same amount that the Hogan went for at the bottom of the list of
So
vintage.
top of modern, just cracked the bottom of vintage. It's crazy to me.
All right.
It's clear that the numbers don't lie. Rock is the king of modern stuff. I'm surprised we're not seeing a Roman in there. We saw a Cody. I think we have sleepers too out there that people don't talk about. Where's Stone Cold in all this?
Yeah.
Where's Shawn Michaels? Where's a Bret Hart in all this?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see those names anywhere in these top 5 hardly.
No.
Very, very rarely.
No, it's pretty much The Rock. Let's talk about Upper Deck in AEW.
That's a very quick comment. Upper Deck makes AEW. When and where? I don't know. I've been nothing but nice about it the whole time, but I think I'm as frustrated as every other collector out there who collects AEW cards. I'm going to be really interested in going to their booth because we just got here doing the panel, go walk the floor a little bit, but I'm interested in seeing if they're showcasing anything at their booth because last year, I'm not going to lie, was very disappointed. There was nothing there, and that's got to change.
There's a new release coming, but I've heard this now since March.
I think we've announced as much as anybody else just now. Next up, we got Top Slam app.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't play that.
I don't do.
I've
digital.
gotten so many people addicted to Top Slam. Oh, here comes trouble.
Uh-oh.
Trouble is on its way. Hey, sir, can we give you a card, sir? There you go. Enjoy yourself.
Everybody, Ryan Schear.
I took your seat today and talked about Upper Deck and my displeasure with AEW. It's got to be known. The Top Slam app. I have gotten so many people addicted to this Slam app. It's been fun to watch them get addicted to it. I've got friends. I've got store employees working. I've got people who just randomly come to the store and they're like, "Oh, well, I play with the Topps bunt," but now they're playing the Slam app, and I'm grossly addicted to it. Like it's a problem. It's so addictive. You don't have to spend any money on it to have the fun. You get the free coins to play. You get vintage. You get new stuff. They even did a whole release that mimicked the Wrestling All-Stars. It's fun. If you guys haven't got on there, I highly suggest go check it out, Top Slam app, just to get a fix of opening up packs.
The future of modern wrestling cards. Where are things going, Tony?
I think we're heading the right direction. I think we're going to continue to keep seeing high numbers. I think we're going to continue to see more interesting, innovative stuff because we haven't seen the best stuff that Topps has put out yet. There's some good stuff coming out from Topps.
Sure.
We're going to see more and more people getting into the hobby, I think. As long as Topps and Fanatics continue to keep promoting the way they're promoting and all the different avenues they're promoting, we're going to see more and more people get into the hobby. Like I said before, I've had more customers come into my store asking for wrestling cards, which was my main goal, really, to open the store, than I've ever seen in my life before. All demographics too. We're having, older collectors, young kids, women, men. I mean, it's across the board. Do you have any of that Topps 2025? I'm like, calm down there, people. Calm down. I'll get your fix. Don't worry. So I just think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. There's so much going on.
Panini had Immaculate. They had National Treasures. There's got to be more high-end stuff from Topps coming.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Topps is taking it to another level, I think. I'm one of the first guys to admit that when I saw the first Chrome coming out, I was like, some of the designs. But then having it in your hand and actually seeing across all the different, subsets,
well, I really enjoy it. It was very voluminous. There was a lot to it. There was a stupid number of insert sets.
The people out there who thought, I love the people who thought that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait till I go back to Topps. Oh, Panini has too many parallels. Wah. And then it comes back to Topps, and Topps said, "Well, really, parallels? Hold my beer."
Let's do 20 insert sets. Let's make 4 or 5 of them really short print, so that you're spending $200-300 per card, which makes it difficult. But
it does. But we don't live in an era anymore, especially with wrestling cards and any cards, where you go to your local dealer, you buy a set, and you're done.
Yep.
And that's what you used to do.
Yep.
I piece things out because I used to break cases.
Yep.
That's gone. That's just gone. So either you're willing to pay for it and pay a premium because someone else had to buy all that product now because it ain't cheap.
No, putting together the more advanced sets like the Panini Immaculate, Chuck and I did them.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't easy.
No, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
Like National Treasures, I've been on now for a year. I still have 5 to go, and I can't buy the last 5 for less than $75 a piece. And being a cheapskate, say, find them.
Yeah. It's the whole hobby itself has grown and changed, and I keep saying this all the time on our podcast, and I'll say it again here. We wanted to be accepted. We wanted to grow.
We're accepted.
And we're accepted. And I think the prices show that.
Yes.
Either you pay to play or you don't play.
Right.
You can change the way you collect.
Yeah.
I'm a living example of that. I went from it being a master set collector to a set collector. It's like, you know what? I'm going to be a player collector.
Loomis collector.
And I'm a Dexter Loomis collector. I think I chose wisely because I can't afford anybody else. So I'm having fun with it too. So there's always ways to change your lanes to have fun with this hobby.
Yeah, and that's our last point. What appeals? Maybe we'll ask out here. What kind of stuff do you guys collect?
Hopefully wrestling cards. Anything. Yeah. Nick likes to collect things that are very easily accessible.
Yeah.
Hopefully on the on the free side. Yes. He has a store for that. I do too.
We should mention that. Tony has a store.
I do have a store.
Which,
in
by
Phoenix,
the way,
Arizona.
was funded by the sale of a Hulk Hogan vintage card.
We've talked about that many times. We just had ABC News come into my store last week after Hogan passed, and we were once again, Mike and me up talking about Hogan, and I mentioned that I sold a Hogan wrestling card to fund the store. The guy said the same thing. He goes, "Hogan's your third man. He's your third man." And I was like, "You're right." So that became appealing to him. So, but it just keeps going, man. It just keeps going. I mean, we have other guys who collect, vintage memorabilia. I know a guy in the audience that does that. Yeah. Then I have another guy over here. I don't even know what he does. What do you do?
Non-sport.
Oh, beefcake. Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah. That's why I always make a point that, hey, all it takes is one person with deep pockets, man, spending 7 figures for a beefcake card.
Yeah.
Ice cream bar cards?
Yeah, Chuck's been on those.
Yep.
He's getting close to getting them finished.
It's amazing to me that Chuck, who's been along for so many years, there's still some holes in his collection. I would think that he has so much already by now.
You would think.
Yeah.
Even with my stuff.
I am.
You know, there's still, you're never done.
I
You know,
remember
that's
when
the
I
beauty of
once
it.
owned a Rax roast beef set until someone came in and stole it. What else you got, Paul?
That's all I got, Tony.
Yeah, that's about it, man.
You know?
That's a good question, actually. I kind of prefer Topps because Topps has been something I've known for so long, and Panini was new to me when it came to wrestling. I know a lot of collectors out there who do basketball, baseball, football, so they know about, and that's why I had to talk to guys out there who knew more about Panini products and what to expect to educate myself. I do miss some aspects of Panini. Panini put on some really great images onto cardboard that I really enjoy, and Topps had a lot to live up to with that. And in some case, I think they've kind of met a little bit, but there's some things that are, that's so Topps. But I'm kind of born into the Topps era, so I really like Topps a bit more, I think. There's nothing wrong with Panini. There's nothing wrong with Upper Deck. I've loved a lot of their products over the years, but I kind of prefer Topps. 740.
740.
The 45th National Convention will be closing in 20 minutes.
You hear that? We're gonna close out of here. We're gonna go drinking.
The time is 7:40. The 45th National Convention will be closing in 20 minutes.
Yes, correct. Well, that's an interesting question, Dave. We did a video, or I did a video, Tony couldn't join us, with Rob England, who is one of the sort of vintage experts in the hobby, and we got to talking about the early Hogans, and one in particular was a set called the Wrestling All-Stars that was a magazine. And I asked him the question, is the magazine, a mint version of the magazine uncut, worth more than if you cut up all the different cards? And his response, well, in order to grade them, you have to cut them up,
Yep.
and grading always does better, right? But magazines in and of themselves, not just ones that have cards, but just magazines.
But you can also grade the magazine.
Yeah.
So if you're concerned is to get them graded, you can still the whole thing and encapsulate the whole entire thing. It's mint with cards inside at a high grade.
Yeah, that's true.
With that,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of early Japanese came out of magazines, right?
yeah, because I
Gong
think you
magazine,
recently
BBM
last year
magazine.
purchased one and you actually cut it up yourself, right? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and those are beautiful cards, and they're accepted in the hobby as being sort of top.
That's a
Hogans.
whole other hour's conversation
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like taking paper cards
Yeah.
and then consider them cards.
Well, again, keep an eye on WTC TV, and like I said, we've got a collector's episode coming up next week, maybe.
Yep.
Where we cover a lot of that
Yep.
stuff.
What about him? Oh, we got to give David Peck some love
Yes,
here.
David Peck's Wrestling All-Stars auction on Heritage, the Platinum auction, is here on the floor. We just went and took a look at
We
it.
went over and took a look at it. Nice display.
We wish David all the best, that he gets a big number. It's going to be the biggest wrestling collectible ever sold.
Does anybody here have an idea what they think that might go for?
Ben, any idea? 200?
What do you say?
2?
About 2?
Yeah, maybe we'll start a pool, Tony. 250?
You know, the timing is odd with Hogan just passing away, so I don't know if that's going to cause any more interest in it. I think it's going to cause interest. I'm going to say that I would not be shocked if I see this thing hit a $500,000.
So let's stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll know in a few weeks' time.
I would very much love to see this pet collection hit 7 figures, just to get that hurdle out of the way.
Wouldn't that be something?
It's a big number for us in the hobby to hit 7 figures. Every other sport has a 7-figure card. Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure every figure, baseball, basketball,
Well,
football.
not golf. Are we cutting golf as a sport?
Hell, I think even F1 has a 7-figure card.
Yes, F1 does, but I don't think golf, because I think when we
No,
talked
golf-
about it,
golf does not have
Tiger
one.
was at 360.
360 something for a target, but 250. Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Is
that's
a
sort
quarter
of,
mil.
Yeah, that's kind of the number I have floating around, but who knows?
But
Who knows? We've got a Hogan 9, and a Hogan 9 is worth 100. Last one sold for 103. But we also have a Flair 10, and we haven't seen one of those in a while. And that's notwithstanding the other 34 cars, which are all again at high grades.
But I think that Flair 10 actually is what's helping sell that
Not gonna
as
hurt.
well. It's not going to hurt it for sure.
And one of the big questions, and of course this is for David to answer, and we'll have a follow-up with him after the auction ends. We'll have him on to discuss it with him, was this the best way to go about selling them? Selling them as all 36 versus doing maybe just the Hogan separate or the Flair separate.
It's a nickel and dime effort versus a lump sum. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much. I'm excited about this because I just wanted to see it continue to further both wrestling collectibles as a whole and also the card market as well.
It just brings more eyeballs to the hobby. All of a sudden, something goes for that price. It'll
Yep.
make mainstream news, and people will pay attention. What, wrestling? Same thing we had when we started this panel 4 years ago. I had to kick and scream to get a bit of time. I was here in 2010 giving out the original wrestling card price guide. People thought I was nuts. Half of them didn't even know wrestling cards existed. And
That's true.
Fast forward to 15 years, and look, we have all this stuff to talk about. It's really become a going concern for a lot of people.
I'm excited to see it, so everybody should check that out.
So that's it, folks. Thank you very much to all the people that came out to see us today. Collect wrestling cards. It's loads of fun. Hulk Hogan, rest in peace. Nick, thanks for doing the video. And everybody else, enjoy your time at the National.
I'm going to drink and go have dinner. Brother.